Okay, so we're just going to play around with some values of arrays so you can just see it actually happening, and we're just going to throw some stuff in here. So let's say if we want to create an int array, again we just say that we declare the data type and then square brackets, and if we want it to be empty, if we want it to be a series of zeros, we type the word new just like we do for all objects. Again, we're creating an int array, so you have an int and then square brackets, and then what do we put in the middle here? The number of ints that we want to include, and these can be really big. Let's make it 10,000, and then let's load this with a few non-zero values. So I would say the name of the int array, and let's say we want the 345th value to be assigned the value of negative 987, and we want the int array value, let's go to the 65 index and assign it a value of 21. Very exciting stuff. Now let's say that we want to copy something that already exists. We could copy that into the array. Let's say slot 0 at the very beginning. Now let me ask you something. If I then say num++, what is going to be the value in int array slot 0 after I ++ num? I want you to think about that while I type it out, and we will investigate. So first of all, we want to go in and get out whatever value is in int array in the 0 slot. So notice num is assigned a value of 8. The int array, the slot number in the 0 index, is assigned that value of 8. But then we go in and we ++ num, and we're going to print out what is going to be in the int array 0. Many guesses that many of you are thinking the answer is either 8 or 9, and the question is, which is it going to be? Let's compile. Lucky for me that it actually compiles. And notice it prints up an 8. Again, remember that when you copy int values, you are making a copy of the value, right? So after this line executes, there are two different 8 values, right? There is an 8 inside num, and there is an 8 inside the array. Okay? When we deal with primitive data, we copy the actual data. So when I ++ num, it's the value of num that is being put up to 9, not the value of int array 0. In fact, I could come and show you this. And now we'll see that, sure enough, the value in num is 9 and the value in array is 8. Okay? Now let's try the same thing with objects. Okay, I've gone ahead and taken the liberty of creating 2 food item objects from our labs. You guys remember those? So F1 and F2. These compile just dandy. Now let's create a food item array called items. Actually, let's use the new syntax. We can say just curly brace F1, F2. This is slightly different from what I did in the PowerPoint, because in the PowerPoint I created brand new items every time, and you can mix and match these. F1 points to an existing food item, F2 points to an existing food item. Let's create a new food item on the fly here. What we're doing here is creating an array of food items. This is the variable, I should say. I'm creating a variable for an array of food items. I'm calling it items, and I'm pointing it to an array of specific values, so I use the curly braces. The first value in the array is F1, the second is F2, and the third is a brand new food item. And you'll see when I click compile that everything works wonderfully. Now, remember that arrays of objects are memory addresses. So F1 is the memory address that has already been assigned up here, and F2 is the memory address that has already been assigned here. New food item goes in and dynamically creates a brand new food item, and the memory address for that new food item is returned here. The only reference to that new food item is stored in the array. There's no other way to get to it. Let's mutate F1. So if I say F1 dot set the description, we're changing it from Snickers to Big Snickers. So now the question is the F1 in the array also changed to Big Snickers? And you will see. I'm printing out the description that is in the F1 variable, which is up here, which I've clearly changed to all caps Big Snickers. Now the question is, when I go in and say what is the description in the array, I change this to, you guys think about this for a second, how do I access the first food item in the array items? How should I do that? What should I write right here? Well, we need to say the name of the array items, and again, in order to get a specific one, we use square brackets, and inside we place the index that we're trying to grab. Is the index a 1 because it's the first value? No, it's a 0, right? This is in the 0 index. Now let's see, and we can see here that they both got changed, right? Arrays hold memory addresses, not just the values. I mutated F1, set the description to all caps, and when I went into the array and grabbed the description, its description had also been changed to all caps because this memory address is, I should say, this is a memory address. That's what got copied in there. Alright, hopefully that helped.